Unaware she owned a hidden $1 trillion oil fortune, he threw her out while she was in labor, leaving her screaming on the doorstep with nowhere to go. What she did next made him fall to his knees when he discovered the truth. But by then, the woman he'd abandoned had already decided his fate. The rain hammered against the wooden porch like bullets as Elena Hartwell doubled over, another contraction ripping through her body with the force of a freight train. Her husband Marcus stood in the doorway of their farmhouse, his silhouette backlit by the warm glow of the home they'd shared for 7 years, his arms crossed in a gesture that had become painfully familiar over the past months. "I said get out," Marcus repeated, his voice devoid of the warmth it once held when he'd whispered promises of forever into her ear on their wedding night. "Take your worthless inheritance and leave. You've got 10 minutes before I call the police for trespassing." Elena's fingers gripped the porch railing so hard her knuckles turned white, the wood rough against her palm as lightning split the Texas sky. The inheritance, that cursed piece of land her grandmother had left her, 200 acres of barren West Texas desert that had somehow become the weapon Marcus used to destroy their marriage. Land he'd called worthless from the moment the lawyer had read her grandmother's will 5 years ago. Land he now demanded she sign over to him as the price of civilized divorce. The baby, Elena gasped, clutching her swollen belly as water streamed down her face, rain mixing with tears she refused to shed in front of him. "Marcus, please. Our baby is coming." His jaw tightened, and for a fraction of a second, Elena thought she saw something flicker in his eyes. Remorse, perhaps, or the ghost of the man she'd fallen in love with at that Houston charity gala 7 years ago. The man who'd brought her coffee every morning at the law firm where she worked as a legal secretary. The man who'd kissed her in the rain after their 3rd date and promised he'd never let anything hurt her. That man was dead, killed by greed and ambition, and the discovery that Elena's grandmother's land, the land he'd mocked and belittled, might hold something he wanted. "Should have thought about that before you refused to sign," Marcus said, bending down to grab her overnight bag from beside the door. He hurled it into the storm, and it landed in a puddle near her old Honda Civic, with a splash that seemed to echo across the empty fields. "My lawyer made it crystal clear. Elena, sign over that land, and we can end this marriage like adults. Keep being stubborn, and you get nothing. Not this house, not a dime of my money, and certainly not my help tonight." The door slammed with a finality that reverberated through Elena's chest, and she was alone in the October storm, 9 months pregnant, and abandoned by the man who'd vowed to love her in sickness and in health. She'd met Marcus Hartwell when she was 25 and drowning in the aftermath of her parents' death. They died in a car accident when Elena was 19, leaving her with nothing but student loan debt and the memory of her mother's laugh. Her grandmother, Rose, her mother's mother, had been her only anchor in those dark years, a fierce,